don't know how loud that is. Let's see if we can make it a little better. It's a little bit loud, I think. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're going to go live, and today we're just going to talk about letter number 10 from Chunko Chad. I guess he decided he needed to put something out because nobody was paying attention to him anymore. Anyway, here we go. We're going to start reading aloud. Hey there, Sprinkle. How you doing, little girl? I decided to read letter number 10. Chad finally put letter number 10 out. Notice I changed my avatar too. Anyway, I hope that music is not too loud. I just want to put a little something behind it, you know. So, here we go. I began this series of letters with the intention of providing the full and true details of this case up and through my court trial in 2024. There is so much more to say, but I feel I need to pause the letters for now. The timeline in the letters has just reached a point that begins to overlap with the date of October 26, 2018, which is when the state alleges I became part of a criminal conspiracy. All right. Well, you did, dude. Come on. Letters from Chad. Here we go. My attorney continues to work on my appeals and are in the process of submitting a post-conviction petition to the court. I believe it's important that my letters not get ahead of the legal process. My side of the story will still be shared when the time is right. That time will have to be after the legal process has sufficiently progressed. The challenge I face in sharing my story is that the only version told until now are the ones given in the media and by the state prosecution. Those two versions are essentially identical, and they present a biased story that was created at the very beginning of their investigation. There are times when it feels I will likely never be able to overcome their versions, which have been set in stone through repeated retellings by the same handful of people whose comments have been crafted with an end goal already in mind. Years ago, I read a book by John Grisham titled The Innocent Man: Murder and Injustice in a Small Town. This book tells the true story of two Oklahoma men who were wrongly convicted of a murder, and one of them was sentenced to death. The book describes how a very aggressive prosecution was irreparably misguided by just a few mistakes at the very beginning that sent it down the wrong path. The detectives then engaged in just badgering and harassing witnesses, conducted threatening interrogations, ignored obvious facts, and discarded other evidence. So many parts of my case can be reflected in their story. You can find it here, paid link, and read it for yourself. Of course, the paid link is not in here, okay? Anyway, as a one-time journalist myself, I do feel that media has largely failed in telling the public a balanced and accurate version of this case. Instead, they have opted for the state's salacious versions that would appeal to the most people and capture greater attention. I believe the media and the prosecution have just worked in lockstep with one another to make sure only one version of events was ever told. When I worked as an editor in the Ogden Standard Examiner in the early 1990s, our staff included a very tough and seasoned journalist named Don Baker. He was the crime reporter, and he took his job seriously to hold the police department and other government officials accountable for their actions. Don always felt it was, important to seek information through public disclosure laws that would discourage the police from investigating cases in the shadows. Okay. I remember Don being fearless and relentless in the pursuit of truth. He has since passed away, but I have often wished a true journalist like Don would emerge in this case and fulfill the media's proper role of keeping sufficient distance and independence from the prosecution and the police. Instead, I have spent several years watching my story be inaccurately told by others. At every turn, I have been told, and continue to be told, that I should allow the judicial system to just play itself out and allow my attorneys to tell the story. For years leading up to my trial and even during it, I did that. Then my trial came and went without the entirety of my story being shared with the jury or the public. 6 years have now passed since Tammy, Tylee, and JJ died. I know that anything I share now, or even what I have shared in the previous letters, will be seen as desperate attempts by a convicted man to redeem his reputation. It is very heavy. It's a very heavy burden because I continue to be told that at the best opportunities to do that, and it is in the proper trial. All right. Most people will say I had a proper trial, but I did not. My current attorneys are in the process of showing that many deficiencies of the trial. I'm seeking another opportunity to present to a jury the the vital information that should have been shared in the first time, not just a theory that the prosecutors put together. My current post-conviction petition is an effort to demonstrate the many previous attorneys that the one person in the position to help me sorely let me down. For such a high-profile capital case, he was just underqualified and completely alone against the combined forces of several police departments, prosecutors from multiple counties, and federal and state agencies, and out-of-state capital attorneys. I believe these circumstances need to be shown and argued in court as part of the appeals process, not simply explained through my own words in these letters. Hopefully, my current attorneys will be able to clearly demonstrate the fact that I never received the defense I deserved as a citizen of the United States. Well, I'll be. It is primarily for this reason I think it is best to pause these letters until my petition is publicly available. Only then will I know whether I will be given the opportunity to tell the full and accurate depiction of what took place in the fall of 2019. I made this decision very reluctantly, because these letters have barely scratched the surface of the events I want to share. The events include my fourth near-death experience, right, okay, which happened in early 2022 in my cell in the Fairmont County Jail. That powerful experience was much more extensive and far-reaching than my first 3 NDEs. It provided great comfort and hope that helped me sustain me through the subsequent years and at the separation from my family. Okay. I hope these letters have been helpful to you. My dear friends, I do have a deep desire to show that I am still that kind, gentle person you know. I trust that the facts will be eventually revealed. Until then, please know I love you and I have felt your love and prayers as well. Sincerely, Chunko Chad. There it is. Letter number 10. Okay, explaining why he can't write any more letters because his new team of attorneys have told him, you can't put that out there, you're going to mess up your appeal. Sure, I'm pretty sure they have told him that, and they would be correct, right? And of course, he's going to tell us that none of the things that was said ever really happened. He was not part of any of that. I'm sure Alex did it all by himself, and that Lori told Alex to do it. How much do you want to bet that that is what is said in this case? It is pathetic, really. It is very pathetic. It's kind of like really, Chad, what do you think you're doing? I mean, there's nothing he can tell us that's going to change what we've already seen. What we have seen in court, what has been, oh, Lord have mercy, this poor dude. He is so misguided. And if you notice, here's the thing. If you notice, not one time in any of these letters did he ever mention Lori. So what's the deal there? I wonder if Lori's also having near-death experiences in her prison cell. I wonder if their portals are actually open so they can still see each other. Oh, but wait, they don't have closets in their jail cells. But wait, they do have sinks and little areas. Maybe they get under their bunks and that's their portal to see each other. Maybe. I don't know. Wow. That's all I can say is wow about this. It's wild. What he thinks that he can just tell the public and it's going to make it all okay. But we all know that he's not really writing these letters. We all know who's really writing these letters. I'm shocked that this one also did not include, well, he tried to put a book in there, but it just said paid link. It did not say the book's name or where to get it. So apparently maybe he was not allowed to do that on X. Not sure. But really, what a mess. Okay. Let me plug in this phone for a minute. I'm not going to stay on long. I just kind of wanted to talk about that. When I saw letter number 10, I was like, oh, hell, we got to go talk about it. We got to go talk about it. Yeah. Chatty Poo is preparing for his baby with Lori 2.0. You're right. Oh, I forgot. I should have mentioned that. I should have made that my little thumbnail was Lori and him. I forgot about that. Maybe I should put it on here for this tiny little show that I'm going to do here. Oh my goodness, it's just crazy. I'm going to go to YouTube for a minute and see if anybody else is talking about this letter number 10. Okay, hang on just a second. Let's go over there on YouTube and we'll take a look. Wow. Here we go. Let's go sign in on YouTube. Here we go. Now let's go see if we can find anybody else talking about letter number 10 because it is that pathetic. Okay. Jeez. Okay, come on now. There's lots of people on at this time, but I want to go. I don't want to be in the studio. I want to go to regular old YouTube. Well, we're going to have to do it this way. We don't want to go to the studio here. Let's just go to plain old YouTube. Hang on, just bear with me. Oh, here we go. Now let me find letter number 10. Whoops. Hang on. Letter number 10. Is anybody talking about this? Let's see. Nope. Well, Sesame Street's talking about the number 10. They certainly are. The number 10 over on Sesame Street. Should we bring that up? Should we play that right quick? Boy. Let's see. Let me look and see. Oh, here we go. Here's one of our favorite profilers right here. We're going to play him. We're going to put on his channel. Hang on a second here. Yeah. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Let's share our screen. Okay, this is one of our favorites right here. Love listening to this man talk about these cases. And so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to bring it up. All right, here we go. Now ready? All right. Full credit to Profiling Evil. Here we go.
From his series so that appeals can move forward. He blames the media, the prosecution, his own lawyer, and the justice system, but he never blames himself. So let's tear this letter apart line by line, showing it's really about damage control, narrative manipulation, and a failed marketing campaign from death row.
There we go. All right. Yes, Profiling Evil, he's really, really good. He's wrote a lot of books. I mean, there's a lot of things about him that are very interesting. Let me see if we can pass the commercial. Hang on. Oh, where does he start? Right there.
Subscribe button. I hope you're noticing I got new like and subscribe buttons. And please give us a thumbs up. Share us with your friends who like true crime as much as you do.
And there we go.
Now listen, this is important. And we're not doing this episode because Chad Daybell is interesting. We're doing it because what he writes is dangerous, in my opinion. And because he understands 100%. That manipulation helps protect his image, but it doesn't protect future victims. At the center of this case are the real people like JJ, Tylee, Tammy, Charles, Brandon, Colby. They're the real reason why we're here and the real reason why I'm doing this. So in a moment, I'm going to have an AI voice read letter number 10 in full so that you can hear exactly how Chad frames his pause in his letters. I'm going to move
past it because I
want you to listen for the blame shifting. After his arrest for murder, after the public backlash, after Lori's trial began falling apart, Daybell can't describe a celestial experience inside of a cinder block jail cell without sounding exactly like he is. A man who's trying to graft a new revelation into a collapsing belief system. Now, it would take a psychologist to properly label the behavior we're seeing. When reality becomes unbearable, the inner world becomes more elaborate, more dramatic, more supernatural. And in my opinion, Chad's psyche is still trying to escape accountability. And the introduction of this fourth near-death experience is a perfect example of Chad trying to comfort himself with his own mythology. But he also knows that if he describes that in detail, he'll look even more disconnected from reality than he has up to this point. And right now, the image that he's trying to protect is this idea that he's a misunderstood visionary, not some mentally unstable murderer. So he's got to withhold it. But he's not doing it out of humility. He's doing it out of strategy.
Fix that. I did that
So
wrong,
listen
didn't I?
closely to the omissions. The omissions, like how he explains how he justifies the affair with Lori while Tammy's still alive. This is the radioactive core of the Daybell case, because everything, the theology, the fantasies, the scorecards, the doomsday prepping, the visions, all of it was constructed to spiritualize an affair, to make adultery sound like destiny, to make betrayal sound like God's plan, to turn his midlife crisis into some kind of a cosmic calling. And he can't explain this part of the story, because if he does, his entire house of cards would fall apart. He'd have to admit that he and Lori were talking long before they admitted to it publicly. And
The thing is, we already knew that because, he conveniently left out in one of these letters that when he was taken back to the airport by Melanie Gibb, he conveniently left out the fact that guess who was with him on that drive? Lori Vallow. That's exactly right. Lori was with him right then and there. So we'll keep going.
that their relationship was overlapping and impacting Tammy's life. It was impacting Charles's life. They'd have to admit that their secret affair and these pre-life fantasies they were making up were already in place before Tammy died. And that Chad's doctrine, he's going to say they weren't revelations, they were reasons that made the unthinkable possible. And offenders like this use reasoning all the time to kind of recast these immoral decisions they make, trying to make it sound like a spiritual mandate. But if Chad were to actually spell out his timeline, you wouldn't get prophecy. You'd get premeditation. And that's what the state proved. So he's got to admit it. And the omission screams guilt louder than any confession could. So keep in mind that we've never heard Chad Daybell express accountability for the murders of JJ, Tylee, Tammy. In fact, he only superficially mentions that they even died. If this were a true confession, this would be a person talking about remorse, impact, loss, empathy, sorrow. But even guilty offenders who are trying to maintain some semblance of innocence would say things like, hey, I'm devastated by what happened, or I think about the victims every day, or how about this one that we're not hearing from him? The tragedy haunts me. Chad doesn't do any of that, not once that I'm aware of. He says his story isn't told, though. He says he didn't get a fair trial. He says he didn't get proper representation. He says that the press mistreated him, and he laments how misunderstood he is. Well, there's a theme going on here, and it's a theme of me, my, I. Not one sentence about them, the victims. The suffering of all of his victims isn't mentioned at all, because Chad is the only reference point that matters to Chad. Sure, he talks about Tammy a little bit when it benefits his narrative, but he really doesn't talk about who she was, what she meant to other people, how she died, or what he feels about losing her. He talks about Tylee and JJ only as kind of a sidebar characters in his story, not as murdered children that were found in his backyard buried. Well, this isn't just an omission, it's dehumanization. It appears that he's trying to distance himself to kind of justify the unjustifiable. He fails to mention how this fringe doctrine he had gave him permission to break every moral law, and that to me is huge. Because remember, he spoke about premortal rankings, light and dark spirits, prior lives, zombies, possessions, spiritual portals, cosmic battlefields that required the removal of these dark spirits. Well, those aren't harmless fantasies. They're a murder script that provided the language, the justification, the moral permission that was needed, and the spiritual rationalization to allow them to kill people who stood between Chad Daybell and Lori Daybell.
Now, all joking aside, I know that we do joke and we do laugh and talk about them and this, but I mean, it is really not funny. It is really so sad. It is really so horrible how so many people could be brainwashed with this misinformation about this fake religion that he has drummed up, and the people that follow that teaching, right? And you know what, really, it's really still going on. It is still out there. Now, what we have heard is this other person over here on YouTube claiming to be Lori Daybell #2, right? Claiming to be that her and her husband are Adam and Eve. And after we watch Profiling Evil, he'll talk about letter number 10. We're going to move back over to that, and we're going to talk about that one for a little bit longer. Because all in all, it's the same fake, false religion, false prophets. It is cult. These are cults, plain and simple. Here we go.
But in letter number 10, he pretends this entire doctrine didn't exist. You got to ask yourself why. And I think it's because he knows what it looks like when you tie it all together. It looks like motive. It looks like grooming. It looks like planning. And it looks like a big old conspiracy. And he can't admit these things because if he does, then he loses the one argument that he's clinging to in this letter that he's written, that he was somehow railroaded by the system. Well, you know, railroaded men don't generally create spiritual ranking systems that conveniently assign children or spouses or ex-partners to a dark category and allow them to be killed. The railroaded men generally don't tell their lover that God has taken care of them in previous lifetimes, or that railroaded men don't bury children in their backyard and then fly off to Hawaii for some kind of a sunset wedding with a girl they met. But this guy, he leaves all of that out.
Wow.
And in doing so, he reveals the most important truth of all, that every line in letter 10 is a controlled maneuver. Every omission is a defensive strategy. And all of it appears to me to be at least nothing more than a rebranding attempt. None of it landed for me. It left me with a feeling of insincerity. And I guess that's because the facts continue to speak louder than his fantasies. So sit back and enjoy this artificial intelligence voice as it reads Chad Daybell's letter number 10.
Letter number 10, pausing the letters for now. Of and prayers as well.
Is book sales, his spiritual experiences, 3 of his near-death experiences. I mean, how many of you actually know a person who's had 1 near-death experience? This guy's had 4. His eclipse buffering, where his soul is sucked out of his body to the eclipse, or that woman in black. But what we haven't heard are the things that I believe a truly repentant individual would tackle. Things like how he met Lori and how that relationship really started and how he got sucked in, or how he justified having an affair while his wife was still alive, or how these light and dark spirit rankings came about and the spiritual fantasies that surrounded him. Or how about telling us how he morphed his beliefs into some kind of theology that justified murder. You see, when he says full and true details, he's redefining those words to mean, hey, the version of events that I keep wanting to put in the center of things The kind of idea that I'm a misunderstood soul is this. Well, it's not full, it's not true, and it's not meaningful. It's just his curated memoir. And then he pivots from that point to something that I thought was kind of interesting. There is so much more to say, but I feel like I need to pause these letters for now. That's an understatement, that there's a lot more to say. Like the part where the kids die, the part where the wife dies, the part where you run off to Hawaii with Lori while the world is looking for your children, the part where...
I mean, he's so spot on. And every letter that he's written was calculated, manipulative, and really was his way of getting his books out there, because, the publishing company is really not there anymore. So the only way he can advertise his books was through these letters. Now, I don't guess he has any more books to advertise, so he's just gonna quit writing them, because he says, oh, well, now it's it. He's always been dangerous. That's the thing about this. This was always dangerous. He was dangerous from day one, right? Every one of these letters were dangerous. These kind of people are dangerous to the rest of us, because, when you've got vulnerable people who will go over here and listen to this and think, oh, wow, yeah, he's a great person. Look, he's had 4 near-death experiences, knowing that he has not had 4 near-death experiences. We kind of talked about this the other day, guys. We kind of talked about, well, really, his near-death experiences were really nothing more than just dreams that he'd had, right? Now, maybe the first one, when he jumped into the water, that might have been real. But the other ones, they're just dreams he had. They're not real near-death experiences. So let's go ahead and listen to Profiling Evil. I always enjoy listening to him. He's so fun.
The bodies of the children are found in your yard. That's the timeline. That's what we want to talk about. But instead, Chad Daybell points to a date on the calendar, October 26th, 2018, the date that the state allegedly became part of his big conspiracy. He uses that date as kind of a guardrail, because he says, from here on out, I can't talk. I want to tell you, but I can't talk about it. Well, that's the first big tell, because as long as he can float around in childhood and his mission life and his spiritual experiences, he's happier than can be to write. But the minute the calendar approaches accountability, he hits the brakes, saying, hey, my attorneys told me to stop. And here's where we get into that legal fig leaf that he's trying to wear. Because on the surface, it actually does sound kind of reasonable. But he should have listened a lot sooner than 10 letters ago. He should have caught the part that says, I don't want my letters to get ahead of the appeals. Now think about what he's been doing for 10 letters. That's all he's been doing, is trying to get ahead of the appeals. He's been telling a highly edited, emotionally charged, theologically flavored version of the events designed to somehow soften the audience. Us. He's already decided the legal process wasn't enough when he launched his website. But now that the backlash has set in, and now that the coverage has been critical, now that the victims' families are responding and the letters are making him look more manipulative, not less, suddenly he's deeply concerned about the proper legal timing of things. It just smacks of a marketing plan crisis to me. He has to throw in words like, the time is not right, or I'll share when it's appropriate, or for now, I have to let the system work. What he's doing, folks, is he's kicking the can down the road far enough that he hopes that someday his supporters will still be there and he can come back and rewrite the story. Like when he says, hey, just wait, the real story's coming. Well, it's the same energy as a cult leader saying, hey, the prophecy didn't fail, the timeline shifted. And then Chad Daybell drops this comment in the letter. He says, the challenge I face, the only versions told now are the media's and the prosecution's. Well, here we see his persecution narrative in full bloom. He paints it really simply, that there are only 2 versions, the state's version and the media's version. He claims that both organizations are against him, that they're biased from the beginning, and their storyline has been set in stone through repetition. He wants us to imagine a small, plucky, wrongly accused guy standing.
But isn't this typical? I mean, it is very typical of people with mental illness. And I believe Chad 100% has a mental illness, because there's no way, well, okay, I should not say no way, but it seems to me like the only way you could get this far into this type of situation, to be, as he says, led into this situation, because he doesn't really want to say what it really is, it's some kind of mental illness. We knew that Charles Manson had mental illness. I mean, a lot of these cult leaders have mental illness. So let me look at something right here. I mean, that's plain and simple. Let me see if it says anything about this. It goes, what if any mental illness does Chad Daybell possess? Was he diagnosed with anything? Is he a sociopath with codependency? Is he a schizophrenic with visual and audio hallucinations, or just a plain old snake oil salesman, right? Which one is he? So think about this. So we think we can all agree, besides Chad being a monster. Hang on, let me go with these. What did I do with my little glasses? Oh boy. Okay, here they are. Hang on, I want to get my little glasses so I don't miss a word over here. And he's a monster. He's a lot weird. I'm not defending Chad in any way, but I wonder if he is the true mentally ill person in this, Charles Manson believed his own BS, just like Chad Daybell believed his own BS. It's the same, okay? And this is something that I have found on Reddit. Now, Reddit is a lot of people, there's a lot of information on Reddit that we don't see a lot of times. A lot of people don't go to Reddit and check it out. But on a lot of these high-profile cases, people really get into writing about these things. And so this is coming straight from Reddit. I have heard or read that Chad liked to do his writing at the graveyards he worked at, which I believe was 4 of them. Do you think these could have been hallucinations? Was he hearing voices from the dead, or was he believing thoughts that would come into his mind were from the dead? That's a good question, isn't it? Don't get me wrong. This could have also been a con, because I totally believe the light and the dark spirit thing was totally a con. I do too. This was convenient. It was just convenient with all the murder that went on. It was so convenient to blame it on the light and dark, and then mean zombies, right? As for seeing into the future, do you believe that this was also a total con, or do you believe that there many have been the mental illness also? I had a great aunt that claimed she could see the future in her dreams. She also had 28 cats when she passed away, so no one truly believed her. I guess what I'm trying to do is to get other people's thoughts. I do not believe in fortune tellers, but besides the con artists, I believe there are some that are truly, believe that they have gifts, and he's always thought that he really had these gifts. I believe Lori totally made. Hang on a minute, guys. This is funny. I believe that Lori totally made crap up. I believe all of hers comes down to narcissistic psychopath. I would say sociopath, but I do not believe she's ever felt a moment of guilt in her entire life. I really would like to hear your thoughts on this. And so this is somebody putting something out on Reddit, asking other people, what mental illness do you think Chad Daybell has, right? And it's a really interesting post, because we all want to know, what exactly is wrong with this guy? I don't know what the answer is, but some points of clarification may be helpful. Here we go. First off, a plain old con man almost always has some mental illness, and this is true. So it's not like they're just bad actors who are otherwise normal. Maybe they have traits of narcissistic personality disorders. Maybe they have traits of antisocial personality disorders or psychopathy, but they definitely lack empathy and might lack a conscience. And I believe they do lack a conscience. I mean, as much as he's trying to manipulate us with these letters, he's never really made, and just like Profiling Evil says, he's really never made any kind of apology for anything he's done. Nothing. He just acts like it never even happened. Okay. Second, there's a difference between the psychosis of a schizophrenia and the fantasies of a malignant narcissist. That's true too. People with schizophrenia experience unwanted auditory and or visual hallucinations. These experiences are typically unpleasant and intrusive. Patients are often troubled by them. Extreme psychosis can be all-encompassing, like a man standing on the corner, convinced he is on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, shouting out buy-sell orders. But the psychosis is intrusive, meaning that the person isn't looking for it. It doesn't serve some kind of conscious goal they have. Think of a new mother with a postpartum psychosis. Nothing in her life story would lead to the conclusion she wanted to believe her baby was Satan. It was an intrusive and powerful hallucination. So, I mean, this is kind of explaining, but like Brad is not a schizophrenic. All his fantasies are self-serving. All of them support his beliefs in his singular superiority, like Charles Manson. And we're talking about Chad over here, not Brad. We're actually talking about Chad. But anyway, because NPDs need to feel superior, their brains have no problem supplying raw material, a voice in their head. Oh, it's God. Can you hear me? And because they need to feel superior, their brains have no problem accepting that raw material. Okay. We know somebody else that has the same problem. Of course, God would choose me to talk to, right? I've always known how special I am, like the exalted being Lori Vallow. A schizophrenic would typically be troubled and anxious about a voice in their head, no matter what it said, because it's intrusive. And this NPD isn't, because the fantasy supports a positive idea that they already had about themselves. This is the next next statement about this. I generally just skim over responses, but this is a really good reply. This said, I'll build on it a bit. Chad is not a schizophrenic. Right off the bat, you can set aside schizophrenia or any other complex issues regarding auditory or visual hallucinations, dissociative or depersonalization or derealization or internal stimuli and so forth. This bridges us to what we used to call personality disorder clusters. Back in the DSM-5 days, the bottom line is folks with such impairments will rarely voluntarily show up in the office of a clinician or therapist. No, they don't know they need help, because as far as they're concerned, they don't need help. They are generally treatment resistant and non-compliant with medications. In addition, I wish that something popped up. Sorry, guys. Okay. In addition to that, they are even figuring out a suitable approach involving medications is problematic. A common primary issue involves an overall lack of empathy. And as a result, these individuals often lack the prerequisites or the insight regarding how their behaviors affect those around them. Yeah. Hey, Cinderella, how you doing today, girl? We're just going over letter number 10 by Chad and his manipulation and his further attempts to pull people into his circle, make them feel sorry for him, and talk about, does he have a mental illness or does he not have a mental illness? Okay. So good to see you. Anyway, let's keep reading, because this is kind of an interesting thing here. Lori effortlessly pulls off the inoffensive soccer mom nondescript profile. Human beings are social animals, and they navigate through life by constantly picking up on the emotions and social cues offered by those around them. Empathy allows you to feel sadness if you see someone get hurt, or happiness when someone cracks a joke. Marked deficits in empathy or social functioning often result in individuals creating a parallel workaround in order to overcome such issues. Often these folks have visibly calm exteriors, which mask a near hypervigilance as their senses attempt to decode them. Okay, to decode the, oh shit, hang on. My thing just jumped out of here. There we go. This is really good response here. Okay, so then he goes, There's one primary distinction between a psychopath and a narcissist that always rings true. A psychopath intends to do harm to another. Okay? He is an intraspecies predator. A psychopath snake oil salesman with his internal dialogues. I know this potion won't do anything, but I'm going to get my money and the suckers who are going to dumb enough to believe me. So in other words, he pulls in the suckers, which is the cult following, right? A narcissist may do far more than a psychopath, but that is never his intention. His only intention is to think that he's a good, and he's good and great. A narcissist snake oil salesman's internal dialogue, I know more than the doctors, and I found a potion to cure all of us. Even if it doesn't work, it's the patient's fault. Blaming. Hey, Woman's Warrior, how you doing? Good to see you. So glad. I'm good to see you. So, I mean, we've always wondered about, here's another one of these, though. Here's another cult situation. We're going to get to our other cult situation, but I just wanted to listen to Profiling Evil talk about letter number 10 because I always enjoy his take on things. Listen to this story. My grandfather started his own doomsday Christian cult when I was a baby and legit thought he was a prophet of God. And reading the book my grandfather wrote, full of prophecies, like the rapture was going to happen in May 2001, and that JFK faked his own death and was going to reemerge as the Antichrist to persecute all the Christians. As an adult, it just smacks a grandiosity and delusional self-importance, and the thirst for control is palpable. The narcissist is strong with people like this. Although I do think Chad is more of a covert narcissist than my grandfather was, or Lori is for that matter. He seemed like he had just leveraged his meek, shy guy act so people underestimated him and made it easier to manipulate them. See, I agree with that 100%. I sure do, 100%. Now, we've heard him talk. I'm going to move on to a different thing. I'm going to unshare this screen. I'm going to share this other screen. And this is about this false prophet who also is now claiming, she's claiming that that God speaks to us, but through her. Now, this particular person, hello, this is really out there. Okay. Now, this is from 2 years ago. All right. I'm going to put this on hold. Hang on. Okay, let me see. Let me find this right here now then. Right, stop. I'm going to put that, stop. Okay, right there. Now, I need to share my screen with this one. And I want you to look at these people and just think about and listen to what they're saying. They are so, it's ridiculous. It really is. I'll just let you watch for a minute. Hang on a minute. Let me get this over here. Whoops, got to get my share screen going. All right. You've heard me talk about this lady before, right? Okay, so here we go. Share the screen. And I just want y'all to listen for a little bit about these things they are saying.
Okay.
All right?
Hey guys, how are ya?
This group is another cult that's happening.
There you go.
Are we there?
I think we're.
Are we monitoring the chat? Are we there? I'm not monitoring right now because I'm still writing down the signs, the patterns.
Here comes. All right, we're live.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Did you catch that? The signs and the patterns.
So we got a guest tonight. We have McKenna from Holistic McMama. She's going to talk about some things that the Lord has brought her. And of course, we have Faith Over Fear 44, Kathy. And then we have our Jesus Saves girl, Jess. So I'm going to give the mic to Cassie, and she's going to say a prayer.
All right, guys. Judger. He's trying to judge. And he's accusing, and he's ready to snatch the man-child, okay? And so that's the imagery of Ophiuchus. And so Ophiuchus is coming up at the new moon.
Now remember, this little group over here says that they can use astrology to tell us when the rapture is going to happen. And this little group over here has predicted this is going to happen many times. And this same little group over here, especially their leader here, says that the Bible that we've all been using, now she says this year, but now 2 years ago, she's pulling right from that Bible. She contradicts herself, which we know that's quite the problem in a cult, right? So here we go. Just listen to this stuff for a little bit, and then we're going to talk about it. But I watched these women, and I think back about the castings and Lori and Chad and their little group, and I'm thinking, my Lord, the only thing I have not seen this group do is the castings. Here we go.
At May, I think it's the May 19, May 18 actually, and so it's right around the Aliyah of Jesus. If you guys follow the Torah calendar, it's called Aliyah of Jesus. So when Jesus goes back to heaven, and so this is something that I have been looking at since the very beginning. And of course, you know, that was at the beginning of the year, and I was like not ready.
Okay, Woman's Warrior says, thanks for doing this, because there are, you know, just a lot of lonely, vulnerable people in this world who can be drawn into these manipulations and their impasse, and just their kind natures gets exploited to these dangerous levels, and they do. And these are exactly the same people that will take the last dollar from the little old lady who cannot even afford her medicine, claiming that this will get her to heaven. Also, remember, in our last time we watched her, she told us, oh, well, God lives in the Emerald City. Okay? Remember that when you're listening to this. Here we go.
To be told that I have to wait until the end of May. So I've been looking at all the signs until then. And of course, we've been talking about the Passover imagery and how that still fits in with this whole rapture thing. And, you know, there's been minor signs as time has gone by, but I think that this Ophiuchus hour, you know, coinciding with my dream, which we'll talk about later, and now Mandy as well, it coincides with the end of May during this Aliyah of the Messiah. This is when this conjunction ends. And so, you know, there's so much to talk about the Ophiuchus hour, but all of us have really, as we've been talking together, we've really been led on this journey that's pointing towards Ophiuchus. And, you know, it really does represent the separation, because you have those in Christ with the eagle, this victory, okay, this victory. And Ophiuchus really represents the man-child who's treading on the head of he's crushing the head of the serpent, okay? And like, as you can literally see, he's standing on the scorpion. And so those in Christ are victorious and go up, and those, you know, who are in the clutches of the serpent go down. And so that also is really marked in stone with the lunar eclipse that just happened May 5th. And it's really like, it was coinciding with second Passover, which is kind of cool. And it's like really just representing this judgment, you know, especially of the Jews who unfortunately don't have Christ. So they will be in the clutches of the serpent, of the scorpion for the tribulation, but they will overcome eventually, and they will, you know. And there's also, you know, I think we may get into this later, but, you know, we were talking about Pleiades with that, and also Taurus, and how Pleiades really represents the church, and who will be set free from the bondage of Taurus. And this is why it's really important to talk about to know what these constellations really mean, because if you understand what they mean, and you know, God doesn't have like 20 meanings for one thing. He doesn't change the meaning over time. Like he can, absolutely, and things can have twofold meaning, but we need to like really understand the meaning, especially with Aldebaran, which is the eye of Taurus. It's a single eye, very bright, which is like, you know.
I'm sorry to stop this again, but I just want to tell y'all this. When you look at the words that she's talking about, the ficus and the man-child, right? This really just sounds like the controversial cult called the children of God. Okay, so think about this, because to me, I have asked this lady before, what are you preaching? And she tried to tell me, right? But this is more like the children of God over here. This is not the Bible. It's never been the Bible. As she tries to claim that she's telling us the Bible. Not true, not true. So anyway, I just want to let y'all know that that's kind of where this is coming from. Here we go.
The eye of Horus, and it's 6.66 or 66.6 light years away from Earth, which is fixed. Okay, that is, you know, and so when we understand the meaning of Taurus, and we see that it represents really like Satan, death, you know, the beast system, you know, this earth that is right now, you know, kind of like the kingdom of Satan, which Jesus is, you know, has overcome and will overcome. We can understand that Pleiades, you know, being 444 light years away from Earth, is representative of the seven churches, which will be set free and set, you know, free from the bondage. And, you know, if you look, one more thing, if you look at the Mazzaroth, you'll see that if you flip it, well, we don't flip the Mazzaroth, but if you look at the circle and corresponding, I guess you could say antipode of 3 would be 9, which is Taurus. And so you have this imagery, this double imagery, this juxtaposition of 3 with victory and 9 with bondage, which will become eventually victory when we are set free. So there's like, hopefully I'm making sense, but point is that I know some people need to see a little bit of like proof to feel encouragement. Not everyone is like feelings based. Some people need to see facts, and which is, either one is beautiful, but there is things to hope in still in May, even though second Passover has gone by, like many, big channels have been talking about, because the ficus hour is coming, and this is the 3rd hour on the Mazzaroth, and this corresponds with the 9th hour, which we'll get into as well with Mandy. Mandy's been talking about the 9th hour, which is something to look forward to. So just keep holding on, and like don't get through it.
So before we go on, I want to also monitor the chat as well, and kind of answer that. So before we're going to get to McKenna next, but when you're done, Jess, I don't want to cut you off. So that was awesome. Are you finished with the ficus thing? Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So someone had mentioned we're in the seals. We're not in the seals yet. The seals don't start because that's part of his wrath. So when the seals will start right after the rapture, that's when the darkness falls. That is when Obama's going to rise, and literally they're going to conquer us. But what were you saying, Cassie, that you think we were talking about the order of the seals? We're not there yet, but we were hinting that it's possible that Revelation is not in order at all. I've noticed that.
Yeah, Revelation is definitely not in order. And one of the revelations that he gave me about the seals is this. So if you go to Revelation 6, okay, and it says at the beginning, it says, then I saw when the Lamb broke one of the 7 seals. It doesn't say first seal. It doesn't specify an order, but because we're human and we think chronologically, if you go through, like, all the seals are labeled 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, but if you really dig into it, okay, based on what Yeshua has been saying to me and Mandy, is that the darkness is going to fall first. And if you go to the 6th seal, it says, and I looked when he broke the 6th seal, and there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth made of hair, and the whole moon became like blood, and the stars of the sky fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its unripe figs when shaken by a great wind. The sky was split apart like a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island removed from its place. Then the kings of the earth and the eminent people and the commanders and the wealthy and the strong and every slave and free person.
I'm gonna stop her for a minute, because I really am gonna move this over to this Mandy chick. Let you talk. Let her talk. Here's the thing, and just think about this. Think about this. Psychological manipulation and cluster B personality traits go together. There is a complete study, and it's 167 pages over here. And I would love to get into reading it and talking about it one of these days. And I think we should, because there's a lot of really interesting information in here. But the thing what bothers me here, and in the Women's Warrior touched on it perfectly, is the vulnerable people. Right now, the world, it is kind of a mess out there. Times are hard. Everything's too expensive. Groceries cost too much. There's a lot of different things going on. And you have people who are looking into all kinds of different things because they want to belong somewhere. But sadly, they end up belonging in this type of somewhere that's going to get them in trouble. So let's let Mandy start talking. Hang on. All right, here we go.
Said April 18th.
Right.
Oh, that's lights in the skies. Hold on. Just kidding. He said May 1st. See? May 1st. He likes to do that. He gives several warnings, and then right before it happens, he gives another one. Meteorites fall, lightning strikes, red skies, blooming flowers. So just to remind you, what I've noticed with God. Oh, wait. He said it May 6th again. Oh, sorry. That just happened. He said, when you see red skies and a foggy haze over the moon, look up.
And that happened today, didn't it? Or last night?
Yeah, and that's weird because he gave me that message on the 6th, guys, and I have not checked anything. If you look at my YouTube, I haven't answered any comments. I just haven't had time. But I'm going to get to it.
He says, when you see
red skies and a foggy haze over the moon, look up.
When
you see 2 moons reflecting over the mirrored image, look up. So that's really interesting that he did it on that day. And there's always a reason for that. He's been doing that. It's kind of like part of his patterns or whatever. Yeah, so that's exciting. We're getting closer. I mean, these are just little signs coming true. And what I've noticed is his patterns, he does little warnings. It's kind of like he's leading up to the big grand finale, if you want to. And the finale is the birth. Revelation 12, we get caught up. The child is not only Jesus, it represents the Philadelphia church. I explained in the last message, because the dragon tries to devour the rest of them. The rest of them are the martyrs. And then the woman goes into the wilderness and she's showing Israel, the 144,000 is the revelation that I got.
She's going
Okay,
out of the
McKenna,
144,000.
go back
Okay.
to you and show what the swan thing that the Lord showed you and your other, revelations.
Okay. So I'll try to refrain from dates and all that. But so when Mandy had a message on May 5th, was it? And he said Purim and Passover are here. And then he goes on to say how we are his prodigal sons. The Journey from the Stars, the movie, is us, basically. And he continues to explain how his journey from heaven, being born, and then and his whole time on earth, and then his sacrifice on the cross. And so right there, I felt the Holy Spirit, and I was like, what in the constellations could represent his sacrifice on the cross for us? And the Holy Spirit poured over me, and I found there's two crosses, but they're not crosses with the whole bad stuff, the astrology. We're focusing on the astronomy and the biblical stuff. And so what I found is
Now, just the last time we listened to them, they used astrology, mythology, and what else was that? To tell us the dates of all these things that's going to happen. And now she's talking about, the bad stuff in astrology, that they're only going to talk about the biblical stuff in astrology. Now, hang on just a second, because let's look this up for a second. Biblical astrology. I think this will be good. Griftology, you damn right it is. You damn right it is. Oh my God. Okay. So biblical okay, now listen to this for a second. Biblical astrology is a complex topic where the Bible condemns fortune telling and idolizing the stars. You hear that? But just last time they used the stars, the moon, to tell us where God was going to live. Remember that? So it says in Deuteronomy and Isaiah, viewing it as pagan practices and as a false source of guidance, but also mentions heavenly signs and the Magi following the star to find Jesus, leading to different interpretations about whether the cosmos holds symbolic meanings or if such practices open doors to demonic influences. Okay? Numerology. Yes, you use numerology. Thank you. I couldn't remember. Thank you so much, Cinderella. I'm glad you remembered. But it's like every time this group gets on, or every time they contradict themselves over and over and over. It makes you wonder, what the hell do you believe in? Well, we know they believe that God is talking to her, and she says, I don't even know what I'm saying. Yet she's reading it out of whatever she's written it down from, or whatever script they have here. So here we go. We're going to listen to this just a little bit longer. Hang on, guys, and then we'll talk some more. I'm going to go back over here. Yeah, I'm going to get her to talking. I want to hear Mandy talk about it.
And when Aries crashed, it was on the 22nd of April, and then it says moon at her feet, constellation upside down, and that happened on May 5th. And so then I could be totally wrong, but just what I was finding today in the Ophiuchus is I wasn't thinking about like the Ophiuchus hour or whatever that Jess was talking about, but because of Leo being the 12th, I was looking at the Regalis star or whatever, the brightest star in Leo, and I thought that could be possibly the 12 marker. And then Ophiuchus is on where the 3 would be, and at the same time the swan is on the 9th hour, or like the 9 and the 3, I mean, is what I meant. And so I'm like, okay, so maybe it has something to do with that. I don't know. Jess is way more experience in that stuff because the Lord has been doing a lot in her longer. But yeah, he like speaks to me in messages, and
he speaks to me in messages, and he's been speaking to her longer. Okay. And when they talk about this Ophiuchus, and what it really refers to is this Og, the giant Amorite king of Bashan, a significant figure in the Old Testament, right? Cinderella says, everyone must remember that these books of the Bible were written by humans. God did not write the Bible. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes, Cinderella. But and so they're talking about Old Testament, things, known for his defeat by Moses and the Israelites. And it's like it's kind of got a typo in it because it should be Gaius, Gaius. It's really not Gibbous, which is the way it's spelled there. But these phrases could also be mishearing of a Greek term of giving life. Okay, so just remember that as she's saying this stuff. I just want to ask him, oh, hey, are you a member of the Church of the Firstborn too? Jesus. Oh, where is it? Oh, no, what's up? Here we go. Let me get her back on here. Here we go.
Biblical messages in Strong's Concordance. When I say gematria, I don't use those like creepy evil ones or whatever. I mean like how you calculate it, and what he and so I was able to in the Song of Solomon, I was reading the other day with the Holy Spirit, and
it sure is Woman's Warrior.
Song of Solomon 4, and I was like, wow, this is for the bride of Christ, and I thought it was so beautiful. And then I read on to 5, and it sounds like that's for the old Israel or remnant bride. And so I went through and I decoded that, and I have a video on it, so I won't share on it too much, but it like, God is, our creator is so amazing, you guys, because like I didn't know this until the last 2 weeks. Like, and I like, everything is numbered and named, and it has a purpose. Like our creator was in control of all of it. And what he had shown me in my spirit is just so beautiful with that. And, so literally, the message that I got from the numbers within that story prove that there is a pre-tribulation rapture. So that should give anyone hope too, if you guys are nervous. Because I used to be a mid-tribber like a few months ago, actually, because I was newer and I didn't truly
4080, and I didn't see it happen. The 2 dots were actually like quite a bit of.
I want to hear Mandy.
Magnetic storms and meteorites, rocks fall. Here we go. Chernobyl water. The water will be contaminated. Canada fresh water. It's new. It will be advertised soon. Don't trust it. Look at who is behind it and who profits from it. I'm trying to save you for what's coming. I love you and I don't want anyone to perish. Dreams. Many have had dreams of 2 moons. It's coming. The lunar eclipse will reflect off their mirrored image, creating 2. A reflection, my child. Remember I said, is glass a reflection or a mirrored image? Samurai. The samurai sword will conquer the martyrs. My new witnesses, the sky is going to get hazy. It will look like a mysterious fog covering the moon. When you see red skies and a foggy haze over the moon, look up. When you see 2 moons reflecting over the mirrored image, look up. Time is short. It will be a normal day. It will feel peaceful. Then sudden destruction will fall on the whole world. I am a fisherman of men. I am dropping the net. I am pulling you in. Will you get on the boat, sink, swim, or drown? It only takes a mustard seed of faith. Do you have faith, child? Do you believe in me? Do you believe I died on the cross for you to save you from your sins? Darkness will fall. The moon will turn black. Now, I didn't understand that, but the Lord led me to Isaiah, and it says the moon will give no light, but I don't know where it is. I just know it's in Isaiah. It will take place after I take my chosen one. Someone had 144,000 that, we have time to get inside. That's going to be for the new believers, the people that we've been witnessing to for however long before the rapture. They're going to come to Jesus, but the Holy Spirit's not going to be there for them. So he says to go in the house, pray without ceasing. And when he had said in a previous message, the blood on the doorpost, I guess that's signifying Exodus. But it's going to be like in Revelation 6, the Death Rider. And he said it would be like good and evil outside, and you can't go outside. But he never gave me 3. He just gave me darkness. I thought it was 3 days of darkness, but I had corrected that when he said, I never gave you 3.
He gave me darkness. Are we fixing to go into the dark and the light, just like Chad Daybell now with this group over here? Yeah, what the hell? Now, I'm going to tell you something else. When they talk about the bride of Christ, it's just a biblical metaphor. It's down in Ephesians, Revelations, anyway. It's for the church, all believers united with Jesus as their bridegroom, representing a deep sacrifice of a faithful covenant, it's love, culminating in the future marriage, supper of the Lamb, and all that. So it's just a metaphor. The way they take things over here, even though she says that the Bible is not real. Yeah, right. Okay, here we go. Jeez. Oh, come on. Let's go back over here. Where's our? Yeah. YouTube's
I don't know what that
accurate
means.
just a little bit.
But
Here we go.
So then really quick, then he said, stay inside and pray to me without ceasing. You will be safe if you stay inside and pray. The earth shifts and you will feel a major shaking. That's what you were talking about, McKenna, with the earthquake and stuff, and Cassie when she was Revelation 6. And I kind of agree, with Cassie. I was looking at the Revelation seals the other day and I saw the first one actually does not say the first seal. It just says one of the seals. But then if you look at the other ones, it says the second seal, the third seal, the fourth seal, the fifth seal, and the sixth seal. So I wonder why it does that. There's a mystery there, and I'm still praying on that. But
I have a theory on that. I may just do a video. There's just too much.
Okay. And then, so real quick, I'll finish the message. He said, the moon will turn, so where was that? You will be safe if you stay inside and pray. The earth shifts and you will feel a major shaking. Volcanoes will erupt. Tidal waves will form. The tsunami in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. I'm calling my sheep home. Return to me. Believe in me with all your heart, and I will save you. You are my prize. Delight in me, and I will give you the desires of your heart. By calendar, have you figured it out yet? The dial turns back clockwise. The moon at her feet crashed into Aries, and the constellation is upside down. The fiery dart makes the flower bloom. It's soon. Your redemption draws nigh. Jupiter in position. Ophiuchus at the 3. I don't know what that means. Jess, did you figure out Ophiuchus at the 3 yet?
Well, it's like this is at the 3rd hour, so.
Okay, but that was what you were talking about in the beginning. See,
Yeah.
the signs of heavens go over my head. I don't understand any of it. So when you speak, it's like gibberish to me. I don't get it, but it's what I hear and I give to you, and somehow
I don't understand. It's what I hear and I give to you. But, hey, she's the prophet. God selected her. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't understand? Are you kidding me? Oh, God, guys, God. You listen to this stuff and you're watching these people and then, there's this. I'm really surprised that Melanie Gibb has not joined these people, to be honest with you. Cindy says, I'm actually confused. They have just told me my denomination is all wrong. Why is it important to be right? I don't get it. See, I don't get it either. I don't know I don't really know what she's trying to even teach over here. It's like this crazy. It just goes back to me. What mental illness does she suffer from? Right? What mental illness does Chad suffer from? I'm going to take this down. We're not going to watch this anymore. But you got to wonder about them. It's like, what do they suffer from? Right? I don't know what, but let me take this off of there. Let's say stop sharing my screen, and we'll get the little dots off of there, and we'll just talk for a minute. But I have just never in my wildest dreams thought that we would ever hear or see. Well, number one, Manson's the worst, right? You've also got the twin flames. You've also, now we have the Chad Daybell thing, and you just when you think things are gonna, this kind of stuff is gonna go away, another one pops back up, and here it is. There she is. I don't know how many people actually follow her, but she has to know that. Doesn't she realize she contradicts herself every other time? Every time she has a show or whatever, and she starts talking about these things, and then she says one thing, but she'd already said something else before. Doesn't she? I don't know. Wackadoodles. Thank you, Cinderella. That's the word I'm looking for. Our friend, the OG mom, and she always uses the word wackadoodles. They are wackadoodles. So anyway, I'm not going to stay on very long. I just wanted to come in and talk about letter number 10 and then try to figure out what mental illness do these people suffer from, because it's clear that they have something wrong with them. They are not normal, or what we perceive as normal, right? I think I will get that. Just lack of common sense is what we're seeing and hearing. And, LOL, money, money, money. She is throwing stuff at the wall to see if it'll stick. You're right, Woman's Warrior, you're right. They are so grandiose. You're right. They certainly are. And arrogant. Thank you, Cinderella. They are arrogant. Believing. One of the things that I've seen her do, she'll sit there and her hands start shaking. Okay, here's another thing. One day, I noticed that she was on there and she starts fake speaking in tongues. Okay, fake speaking in tongues. And they act like they know what she's saying. Oh my God, stop. Just stop. Just stop this craziness. Let me see if her name comes up over here. Hang on, guys. And then we'll probably get off in just a second because, this is just a short thing I wanted to do. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. I have to put her channel name in there. I think it's called. Hang on. I'm not going to advertise it. That's for sure. Hang on, guys. Let's see. I think it's this. I would not want anyone that came and listened to my little channel over here go over there and actually listen to what is being said over there. So that's why I'm not going to advertise this channel. Anyway. Okay, so I do not see. Yeah, I do not see this. Okay, so this particular group is not in Reddit. Okay, thank goodness they're not. Thank goodness they're not. But anyway, I hope everybody had a good day today. Today is Wednesday. I know, and it's December the 9th. Or is it today Wednesday? Geez, what is today? Let me get myself straight. Oh my Lord. My sister was here, she came up and I had to take her to her eye appointment this morning. So a little bit, I had to get up early and it was just a little bit of oh no, today is the 10th. And yes, it is December the 10th and it is Wednesday, not December the 9th. Oh my God. Okay, let's Women's Word says, keep an eye on her because I believe she is just putting stuff out and just contradicting and just to see what people will cling to, and she will adapt. She is adapting her narrative. You're absolutely right. She adapts her narrative to what she thinks people are going to listen to. Thank you, Cinderella. It is Wednesday, December the 10th. I'm so sorry. Oh, sure. All right. We'll have to come back on her another day. But I mentioned this yesterday when Sprinkle and I were kind of talking about this. And okay, I know everybody knows what a hoarder is. I know you've probably kind of seen a hoarder before, right? But did you know that really attention deficit and hoarding usually go hand in hand? And that's something that I've learned about, because it is a mental illness. It is. And it's just common for them to be attention deficit. And that's why they can never finish putting things away, right? So there's just a lot of things that go hand in hand there. So I'm going to do a show about hoarding, attention deficit, and the mental illness that goes along with that, because it is a mental illness. Yeah, you did know that. Oh, thank you so much, Cinderella, because some people don't know that, and I think it's kind of fascinating that. But you remember a long time ago, people did not even know that people were really attention deficit. Remember, they would just think that children were bad children. They weren't bad children. They just didn't know how to get it out. They didn't know how to, they needed help, right? So I just wanted to do a little show about that and talk about hoarding and that kind of thing. Because really, hoarding is like this silent, behind closed doors that people don't know about, right? Until it's too late. Until all of a sudden, there's stickers on the door saying this place is condemned, right? So anyway, we'll come back and talk about that another day. I know Sprinkle is she's gonna come on and talk about that with me. We're still gonna do our story about the farm over in San Antonio that they rescue monkeys, right? But we're still going to do a story about that. But there's been a lot of talk about that particular story here lately. I'm trying to let that kind of die down so we can have fresh information out to everybody. But anyway, you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate you. I always love to see you and talk to you. I guess I'll see you tonight on somebody's channel, right? We certainly will. Anyway. Be safe out there. Take care. And I had issues with. Oh, I'm sorry, Woman's Warrior. When you were going through. Yeah. Well, you'll be a good one to come and talk about it with us, won't you, Woman's Warrior? I know that you can help us talk about this, and we'll just plan a date for that too. Because I think I talked to you about coming up and talking about that, right? So we can do that anyway. Y'all take care. Be safe out there. Hug your babies. I always tell y'all hug your babies because that time with them babies is short. I miss my child every single day because I'm not going up there to wake him up to get up and go to school. It's been the hardest transition, I'm telling you. Anyway, I'll see y'all tonight. Have a good evening.